Welcome back to Reading Oblivion, continuing the traveling and reading of literature found in and around Oblivion. If you're enjoying the series, please consider subscribing. We have today A Brief History of the Empire Part 3 by Strawneck Cathaj III, an Imperial historian. Here we go. The first volume in this series told in brief the story of the succession of the first 8 emperors of the Septim dynasty, from Tibir I to Kintira II. The second volume describes the War of the Red Diamond and the 6 emperors that followed in its aftermath, from Uriel III to Cassinder I. At the end of that volume, it was described how the Emperor Cassinder's half-brother Uriel IV assumed the throne of the Emperor of Tamriel. It will be recalled that Uriel IV was not a Septim by birth. His mother, though she reigned as empress for many years, was a dark elf married to a true Septim emperor, Pelagius III. Uriel's father was actually Katara's first consort after Pelagius's death, a Breton nobleman named Galavir Lariat. Before taking the throne of the empire, Cassinder I had ruled the kingdom of Wayrest, but poor health had forced him to retire. Cassinder had no children, so he legally adopted his half-brother, Uriel, and abdicated the kingdom. 7 years later, Cassinder inherited the empire at the death of his mother, and 3 years after that, Uriel once again found himself the recipient of Cassinder's inheritance. Uriel IV's reign was a long and difficult one. Despite being a legally adopted member of the Septim family, and despite the Lariat family's high position, indeed they were a distant cousin of the Septims, few of the Elder Council could be persuaded to accept him fully as a blood descendant of Tibir. The council had assumed much responsibility during Kataria's first long reign, and Cassinder's first short one, and a strong-willed alien monarch like Uriel IV found it impossible to command their unswerving fealty. Time and again, the council and the emperor were at odds, and time and again, the council won the battles. Since the days of Pelagius II, the Elder Council had consisted of the wealthiest men and women of the empire, and the power they wielded was conclusive. The council's last victory over Uriel IV was posthumous. Andorak, Uriel IV's son, was disinherited by vote of council, and a cousin more closely related to the original Septim line was proclaimed Sepphoris II in 3rd Era 247. For the first 9 years of Sepphoris II's reign, those loyal to Andorak battled the imperial forces. In an act that the sage Irantine called Tibir's Heart No Longer Beating, the council granted Andorak the High Rock Kingdom of Shornhelm to end the war, and Andorak's descendants still rule there. By and large, Sepphoris II had foes that demanded more of his attention than Andorak. From out of a Cimmerian nightmare, in the words of Irantine, a man who called himself the Camoran usurper led an army of Daedra and undead warriors on a rampage through Valenwood, conquering kingdom after kingdom. Few could resist his onslaughts, and as month turned to bloody month in the year 3rd Era 249, even fewer tried. Sepphoris II sent more and more mercenaries to Hammerfell to stop the usurper's northward march, but they were bribed or slaughtered and raised as undead. The story of the Camoran usurper deserves a book of its own. It's recommended that the reader find Pollux Illither's The Fall of Usurpers for more detail. I'll have to look for that book. In short, however, the destruction of the forces of the usurper had little to do with the efforts of the emperor. The result was a great regional victory and an increase in hostility towards the seemingly inefficacious empire. Uriel V, Sepphoris II's son and successor, swiveled opinion back towards the latent power of the empire. Turning the attention of Tamriel away from the internal strife, Uriel V embarked on a series of invasions beginning almost the moment he took the throne in the 3rd Era 268. Uriel V conquered Rosera in 271, Koth Nikio in 276, Nizlia in 279, and Ezronier in 284. In the 3rd Era, 288, he embarked on his most ambitious enterprise, the invasion of the continent kingdom of Akavir. This ultimately proved a failure, for 2 years later, Uriel V was killed in Akavir on the battlefield of Ionith. Nevertheless, Uriel V holds a reputation second only to Tabir as one of the 2 great warrior emperors of Tamriel. The last 4 emperors, beginning with Uriel V's infant son, are described in the 4th and final volume of this series. Let's go see if we can find that. If you're liking the series, please subscribe.